Hello everyone, nubkeks here. Welcome back to Nub Raids, where today we've got the first champion buffs of 2026. Will they be any good? Let's read on and find out, because we are seeing buffs to Bambus, Fourleaf, and the mythical Gharol Bloodmaul. I did my video early in the week on pulling, what's her name? What? I've got Karosa the Covetous, and like, is she the worst mythical? Question mark. All the comments are saying no, Geral is the worst. Well, here's the buff. It's here at last. Let's take a look at what Plarium has to say about these, then we'll see the actual changes. So first up, Bambus. We know Bambus stole many hearts when he first arrived. We share the love for this cute little panda. However, despite his charming appearance, his sleep debuff mechanics were often seen as inefficient. With this rebalance, we aim to address those concerns by increasing the chances to land debuffs, making some of them team-wide, reducing cooldowns, and further reinforcing his passive to help players get more consistent value from it. Okay, cool. And then Gharol Bloodmaul, the time has come to revisit one of the original mythical champions introduced to Raid, Gharol Bloodmaul. He's receiving a full set of improvements with buffs applied to both her tanking and damage focus forms. You'll no longer need to choose between building, HP, or attack, as her damage will now scale from both stats. On top of that, her second form gains a new hidden skill designed to add extra efficiency and a hidden skill. Impact in battle. Very cool. Let's jump in. Here we go. Let's take a look at Mr. Bambus. I have him up in game as well. So they said his cooldowns are going down. He did have 4-turn cooldowns on both of his actives. And sort of his thing was he puts himself to sleep, and it can't be blocked or resisted on all of his moves. So he keeps putting himself to sleep. And basically, whenever he wakes up from sleep at the start of every turn, and whenever he wakes himself up with his passive, he would transfer all debuffs from himself to the enemy with the highest resistance, and it couldn't be resisted, which is kind of cool. Problem was that, you know, if he took any damage, he'd wake up and he wouldn't transfer any debuff. So hopefully they've improved that. I really do hope they have. I'm a fan of Bambus, but he did have some problems. All right, so his A1, they've upped the chances from the looks of it. So his A1, it's a single target decreased speed, becomes an AoE attack that can put decreased speed if the initial target's under 2 debuffs, and it puts him to sleep. That's going up quite a bit. It used to be a 50% chance single target and then a 40% chance AoE. Now it's a 75-75. They've equalized it. I think it gets some chance from this. It does. It gets 25% chance from books. So a fully booked Bambus will now have fully booked a 100% chance of decreased speed single target. If the target has 2 debuffs, he will do a 100% an AoE attack with a 100% chance of placing decreased speed in AoE. So he's a very consistent decreased speed champion now. That's a great buff. That by itself is fantastic. And it shows you sort of where we are in 2026 with champions as well, where A1 abilities can be a 100% chance AoE decreased speed for 2 turns, which is kind of nuts. Grove Tender his A2. Okay. So attacks all enemies. Before attacking, puts a shield buff on all allies equal to, it used to be 30% of their maximum HP. Now it's 30% of Bambus's max HP as a shield. It increases ally buffs by a turn. After attacking, can decrease enemy buffs by 1 turn, even if the attack lands as a weak hit. It used to always do that. Kind of forgot about that, to be honest. It also increases the value of any shield buffs and allies by 3% for every enemy buff that had its duration increased by this skill. It used to be 2%. And then it puts a sleep on Bambus, and the cooldown has gone down. Okay, so the shield is by default going to be substantially bigger. Bambus, he's got 21,500 base HP. He's a support. You're building him at like speed, accuracy, and HP. So yeah, the shield is going to be better on almost all allies than it was before, particularly attack-based allies. So if you're bringing an attack-based nuker, like, I don't know, like Cassandra into Hydra, she's not great there, but if you did, the shield is going to be much bigger on her because Bambus will have much more max HP than her. Cool. This is the cooldown going down is particularly good, right? Because it's now much higher uptime on the shield. In fact, it's 100% because he puts a shield for 2 turns and then extends it to 3 turns. It's now going to be on a 3-turn cooldown, which is lovely. More consistent decreasing enemy buffs. A 3-turn cooldown buff increase is much better than a 4-turn. That's very, very strong. Lovely. a really nice change there. Now, the shield growth being stronger, Bambus has shown up in the past as being one of those champions in like the shield growth. Now, they nerfed most of them, right? And then they introduced Titus, who just sort of brought it back. He might be good with Titus. You need enemies to have buffs, which is really awkward. But yeah, I mean, maybe there's some Titus PvE content where Bambus can decrease enemy buffs and really grow your shield quite a lot. I don't know. So yeah, that's quite niche. Yeah, it's quite niche. So we'll see. But bear in mind, there might be a possibility. But yeah, the nice thing about him is, like Wixwell, he is a champion who can, in theory, grow shields. Now, his is not as consistent as Wixwell, but he can grow shields while also providing a shield. But more importantly, extending buffs now on a 3-turn. So he can grow shields and extend them at the same time, which is just what Wixwell can do, albeit his shield growth's less consistent. It's a pity they didn't make this for buffs extended as well. I think that's a missed opportunity. Instead of having it be just enemy buffs decreased, having ally buffs increased, make him an alternative to Wixwell. You know, like, I just think there's quite a stupid gap in the game. I'm sorry, but I think it's kind of stupid between, we in my clan, we have Titus and Wixwell. You might have Titus, but if you didn't get Wixwell, well, I guess we just destroy you, and there's nothing you can do. It would have been nice to have Bambus as an alternative. Why not add more alternatives if Titus is going to be the way he is for whatever reason that is? I don't know. But anyway, let's not rant about that. Let's talk about the new characters some more. I think it is a bit of a missed opportunity there, though. Dream Sight. This is his A3. Target an enemy. First, put increased accuracy and increased attack on all allies for 2 turns. Then, you have a 100% chance when booked of putting Enfeeble, decrease accuracy on all enemies for 2 turns. Oh, shit. The Enfeeble can't be placed on bosses. Now has a 75 going to 100% chance of putting decreased attack on bosses instead. Puts him to sleep as well. And it's got a shorter cooldown. That's insane. Okay. So it used to be a 4-turn, now it's a 3-turn. Actually, this is really, really good. So it's now a 3-turn cooldown, increase accuracy, increase attack for your team. And bear in mind, you could start with the A3, then go A2, so you could extend it. So by himself, Bambus, if he's high enough speed, can basically perma increase accuracy and increase attack your team, because he does it for 2 turns on a 3-turn, and then extends it on a 3-turn. Lovely. Okay, but now, it used to be a single target Enfeeble and an AoE decrease accuracy. Now it's an AoE Enfeeble and AoE decrease accuracy on all enemies. I don't know why you target an enemy. It's a bit, why that? Does he not puts Enfeeble and decrease accuracy on all enemies? And now this is a lovely additional thing as well, because all bosses are immune to Enfeeble. He now puts decrease attack on bosses. So you get increase attack, increase accuracy in your whole team. For a boss fight like Hydra, you get decrease accuracy, decrease attack. That's very useful. Yeah, that's great. Really, really good. I don't know why this target enemy thing is. That doesn't need to be here anymore. But that's AoE Enfeeble. The only other, as far as I'm aware, the only other AoE Enfeeble champion is Androck in his alternate form. Most of you don't have Androck, right? AoE Enfeeble, that's lovely. That makes him pretty cool. Yep, I love it. AoE Enfeeble, AoE decrease accuracy. Super powerful, actually. Very, very cool. All right, his passive has been buffed as well. Used to be a 50% chance to transfer debuffs placed on an ally while Bambus was asleep to him. Now it's a 75% chance. Does that get bucked up? No, so he's a 70. So he is more consistent, but not fully consistent. But yeah, your team gets debuffs 75% of the time. Bambus takes those debuffs instead if Bambus is asleep, but it doesn't transfer crowd control. Still useful, like you can still absorb like poisons or heal reductions in Hydra, that sort of thing. Start of his turn still removes sleep actively, so he still transfers all debuffs. Yes, they've changed it. Transfers all debuffs from this champion to the enemy with the highest resistance if a sleep debuff was removed from Bambus by Bambus's passive or by an enemy attack. The effect cannot be resisted or blocked. Holy shit. So if you go in, like in PvP, if they have block debuffs up, and they smack Bambus, he's just going to throw all of his debuffs onto their highest resistance enemy, and it can't be blocked anymore. Obviously, Stone Skin will block it. Total Guard from Mercurial set will block it. But block debuffs won't work. I think they need to change the wording on this stuff as well, because we're getting a lot of stuff now that ignores block debuffs, but it doesn't ignore other stuff. I guess you might say, well, block debuffs is obviously what they mean by blocked, but I think blocked is, I think it's pretty easy for players to read that it can't be blocked. Oh, so it goes past Stone Skin, and that's not what it does at all. So yeah, that's and it should go past Total Guard. Can't be blocked, right? But yeah. So maybe a little misleading right there, some of the wording, but yeah, cool. Goes past block debuffs. Yeah, the fact that this is now when sleep gets removed by an attack, I guess you could have sleep removed by like HP burn ticks or something on your team, and that wouldn't count, but way more consistent. Yeah, so he gets woken up, he's throwing all those debuffs back, and it can be quite a lot. Pretty cool. Massive buff to Bambus. I think it's lovely. I don't think he's going to be crazy OP, but yeah, I think it's a really good buff. Really good. He's going to absorb debuffs from your team more consistently. He's going to be throwing them back on the enemy significantly more consistently. AoE Enfeeble now, or extra benefit of decreased attack against bosses on a 3-turn cooldown, bigger shield, buff extension. Yeah, lovely. Much more 100% AoE A1 decreased speed. Now he could weak hit, but still, that is phenomenally good. Yeah, Bambus, he's lovely. He's a really, really strong Hydra champion. Really good for people. Obviously, as I said, he may have some Titus potential. Maybe not. For those sort of teams, obviously endgame Hydra teams are so stupid, he's not relevant there. But for progression, incredibly useful against all bosses, right? Decrease attack and accuracy, increase attack and accuracy, shielding, buff extension, AoE decrease speed, protecting from debuffs, and potentially even throwing them back on bosses is incredibly cool. So Bambus, big glow up, big win. That's my thoughts. Big win for Bambus. All right, Gharol. She's a mythical, so there's going to be tons of changes here. Let's bring her up in game. Gharol, yeah, I do agree. I really should have put a question mark on the... I didn't realize until after I saw all the comments, right? The title for my Karosa video was, is Karosa the worst mythical? With a load of question marks. And then the answer from the video was supposed to be, if you watch the whole video, no, she's not the worst, but she's got some pretty serious problems. She does some cool stuff, but she also has some clunkiness in her kit, where it really seems like she was designed first and foremost as a boss, and secondly as a champion, and some of it just doesn't quite translate to her being a champion, and she really gets screwed by Wand of Submission. You can watch that video if you want. But yeah, as most of you commented on that video, one of the most commented things I've ever seen, Geral Bloodmaul, quite arguably the worst mythical in the game. Her base form, you probably don't even know what it does because nobody uses it. Her alternate form was quite cool, where she has, a chance to, basically she had a chance to join in with any ally attack, and her A1 is an AoE attack that could repeat. So she was cool, but not that strong. Let's see what they've done with her to bring her up to modern standards. Ooh, a lot of changes. Oh my god, that's a lot of gold text. Okay, so her base form before, single target attack, 50% chance to increase the cooldown of a random skill by 2 turns and remove shields. It just ignores some resistance, so it's just a 50-50. Now, attacks one enemy. Before attacking, removes all buffs. Wow, so it used to remove shields, I presume after attacking. Now it removes all buffs before attacking. It's now just a 100% chance to increase the cooldown of a random skill by 2 turns, even if it lands as a weak hit, and the damage scales with attack as well. That is pretty spicy because with Gharol, it was very awkward. Her alternate form is really the better form before, and that was all. She's so short as well. Why is she so short? Why is she off the frame? Well, I don't know. But yeah, you were building her for her alternate form. So her main form didn't make, which is high attack, high 100% crit rate, loads of crit damage, medium speed. Terrible stats for a HP tank in her base form. It sounds like they're gonna make her do some damage. Intriguing. Damage scales with attack I see on everything. Wow, that's a crazy buff. So now just removes all buffs and always increases a random skill, even on a weak hit. That's so much better than what it was before. Hammer Quaker A2 used to be an AoE attack with Provoke and gives her unkillable for 3 turns. Ooh, now it's an AoE Provoke. The Provoke debuff ignores block debuffs. So why are they saying it here? Why are they making it clear that it ignores block debuffs here, but on Bambus, they say it can't be blocked? Like, what? This is much more clear. Ignores block debuffs buff and can be placed even if this attack lands as a weak hit. So, affinity-friendly Provoke, beautiful. And it ignores block debuffs, beautiful. Also puts a protected unkillable buff and a counterattack buff on this champion for 3 turns, and it scales with attack. Wow. All right. And yeah, so you get the 20% ignore resistance. So you still have to pass an accuracy check, right? It ignores block debuffs. It lands even on a weak hit, but they can resist the Provoke. And obviously, you know, Stone Skin, Total Guard will stop it as well. Sounds like the unkillable buff is protected, but not counterattack. But wow, what a buff. That's huge. Really good move now. Likely AoE Provoke and counterattack, and her A1 is super strong. So all of it's going to be hitting significantly harder. Counterattack for 3 turns as well. Permanent uptime. Is it permanent? No, it is. It's a 4-turn cooldown, so it's not permanent. It is a long cooldown move. But you get the counterattack up, and whenever you counterattack, you remove all buffs, and you increase random cooldowns, and all of this stuff should hit significantly harder. Protected Unkillable is a huge upgrade as well. That sets her up for her alternate form, because her alternate form, presumably still, does more damage the lower life that she is. But you obviously don't build her with resistance, so you could very easily remove Unkillable from her before. Protected Unkillable sets her up to go into her alternate form at 1 hit point and be able to blast stuff out. It also sets you, because it's for 3 turns, it sets you up to do an A2, Metamorph, and then still have Unkillable for a turn or so in her alternate form. Potentially counterattack still in her alternate form as well. This A2 could really set her up well for alternate form. That's very cool. All right, A3, Bonded by Blood. It used to remove block buff debuffs from allies and put ally protection on them, and put a shield on allies equal to 30% of her max HP for 2 turns. So like ally protection and a shield, fine, but yeah, you weren't stacking max HP on her. Yeah. Okay, now it's going to remove all debuffs from all allies, give them ally protection, puts a shield equal to 30% of her max HP on allies, increase the value of the shield by an additional 3% of this champ's max HP for each debuff removed by the skill. This still seems kind of mid, to be honest. I'm not sure about this one. Like, on AI presets, is this really good enough to use? I don't know. I feel like you probably open up with her A2, and then you go Metamorph into her alternate form. Probably. This seems quite niche. So yeah, it's a decent buff, but not too crazy. I mean, potentially you could stay in Form 1. We'll see. And her passive, Kill or Cure, used to be, when attacked, decrease duration of buffs on the attacker by 1 turn, once per hit. Okay. Heals allies except this champ by 50% of the damage taken whenever she's hit, once per hit. Okay, new version, so still the same. When attacked, decrease their buffs. I mean, a lot of the time, in theory, you should be counterattacking and removing all their buffs anyway. So the A1 sort of makes this a small bit redundant, but that depends on you actually having counterattack up and doing it. Like if they hit you, for example, they take their turns before you've done this, you will be able to potentially reduce their buffs, or if they remove the counterattack, yeah, so it's there. Also heals allies, except this champ, by 50% the damage taken. Heals this champion by 25% of damage taken. Okay. So yeah, I don't know. Like, let someone in the comments let me know. But if you build Gharol for damage, like how much health does she actually have? I mean, she's probably still super squishy. Oh, by the way, so yeah. But like, if I think about my Karosa, who I built for damage. Like, now she doesn't have as high base HP as Gharol, but you're probably building her in a similar way, like medium speed, loads of attack and damage. Now, I've not built her with any accuracy. Gharol would probably want some accuracy for a base form. But, like, Gharol has a bit more HP. You're probably at, like, 60, 65,000. Like, she's still probably super squishy, so interesting. Like, she's probably still really squishy, but I mean, you're going to rely heavily on the protected unkillable. So yeah, okay, I'm not so sure about the A3 and the passive, but gosh, the A2 and the A1 buffs are bonkers. Right, let's look at her alternate form. Oh, damage now scales with HP. Oh, Oh. Oh, okay, hang on. Let's read through all of this. Okay, that changes the... Okay, so maybe you do build her tanky. Holy shit. Okay. For old A2, the AoE attack with a 20% chance to repeat. Now it's AoE attack, 25% chance to repeat. Ignores block damage and damage scales with HP. This is a major buff. Holy shit. That gives... Okay, great. And it's just 20% damage from books. That is huge. Huge. So it's still a low chance to repeat, but I mean, an extra 5%, you'll take that. But damage scaling off HP, again, I'm very curious. I mean, it's just, if they've just added a HP damage multiplier on, I mean, she obviously has some HP. I mean, you know, your Gharol's not going to have one max HP, right? She's going to have max HP. So that's just a straight up damage boost. But ignoring block damage is massive. Especially because she joins in. Oh my god, they buffed that as well. Holy, oh my god. Okay, we'll get to that in a second. But she's doing a lot of these A1 attacks. Block damage is super common in Arena, and it's really obnoxious, let's be real. But like, Neve is all over the place. Odin, Nice, whatever. She's obviously still not good against Nice because she's Spirit. I mean, she'd be okay, but not great. But she'll be very good against Neve and Odin now. Obviously, Gallius feels that. Siegfried, also bad affinity for her. But another champion that's giving you a way to ignore block damage, that's great. More options for people to deal with these really annoying block damage champions. Massive buff. All right, her A2 Calamitous Maul used to be AoE attack, ignore 30% defense, 10% more damage for each buff in this champion. That move could smack before, it was good. Let's see. Attacks all enemies, 10% more damage for every buff on her and on the target. So that's particularly a buff for Arena, where enemies are likely to have buffs. Pretty strong. And she's sort of an anti-buff champion to a degree in her base form. Ignores 30% defense. Ignores 50% defense instead. If this champion has more buffs than the target. Oh, and damage scales at HP. So, like, that's crazy. So, well, it might be overkill, to be honest. I'm thinking, like, in Hydra. Yeah? You go in with Savage set. So 25%. Let's say you build her in Merciless. Fuck it, right? If I go in Merciless, 35% ignore defense, and I've got area bonuses, 20%. So I'm ignoring 55%. This is overkill, but I can pretty consistently against bosses. I should be able to very consistently have more buffs than a boss. So I'll always be ignoring 50% damage pretty much against a boss. You'll be hitting 100% ignore defense without any relics or anything, without Helm Smasher nearly all the time. You probably still run Helm Smasher anyway because her A1 is going to be so strong. That's interesting. Maybe a bit overkill for Arena. You can't guarantee that you'll have more buffs always, but if you do, let's say you're running her Savage Stone Skin. It's incredibly strong, right? Now, if you trigger a Helm Smasher proc with Savage gear, and you've got more buffs, you could ignore 100% defense. So this is going to hit really hard, and the HP scaling. Okay, so that's a very big buff as well. Very big buff. Oh, this though, her passive used to be, and let's see, so her A2, just some damage on it. Her passive, no bucks. Used to be whenever any ally attacks, she has a 25% chance to join in, and she does more damage the lower her health is. Woo-wee. The buffs here are crazy. Now, she has a 50% chance to join in. Holy shit. Holy shit. That is a huge buff. That's crazy. And then she does, so it's still the same. She does more damage as her HP goes down. 1% for every 1% HP loss. That's the exact same. She receives less damage as your HP decreases. 0.5 for every 1%. So let's say if you're at half HP, you're taking 25% reduced damage. Interesting. She has a whole new passive as well. Okay, that's interesting. Now, I'd say old Geral, this wouldn't matter, right? Less damage when your HP goes down. She would still be so unbelievably squishy that it would not matter. It still might not. However, considering that she now scales off of HP, it's really going to... We don't know what the damage multipliers are. But depending on the damage multipliers, you might build her with much less attack and much more HP than before. It will really depend. Maybe the HP multipliers suck and this doesn't really Let's imagine that her HP multipliers are extremely good. If you build her with a lot of HP and you'd still be picking up attack percent on like your banner and your ring and stuff. But if you build her with a lot of HP, if her damage scales well off of it, she could actually be very tanky and actually survive some good damage coming in. That could be pretty cool. And building HP would make her shield a lot stronger, and her healing a lot stronger, and her tankiness a lot stronger in her base form as well. So maybe it really depends what this attack multiplier is and what this HP multiplier is. Okay, new passive though. Cornered Animal, brand new passive. Removes all it's a secret skill. Sorry, it's not a passive. It's a secret skill. It's a secret skill. Not a passive. My bad. A secret skill. I should probably put it above. Okay. Secret skill. This skill unlocks when this champion has 3 or more debuffs, or when they have 50% HP or less, but has a 2-turn cooldown. You're going to have that up pretty often. Maybe awkward to get that up for boss fights. Difficult to get it up for boss fights. But for PvP, quite possibly. Yeah, for tricky fights, quite possibly. For faction wars, like really tough PvE fights, yeah, you might get some debuffs that go low on life. You get a secret skill. The secret skill, what does it do? It removes all debuffs from Gharol, puts increased attack, increased crit damage, and increased crit rate on all allies for 3 turns, and then gives an extra turn. Ooh. So if she has lots of debuffs, gets rid of them. If she's low on life, buffs her up with loads of buffs, and then you go in with a nuke. You do more damage for each buff that she has. You ignore extra defense now if you've got more buffs, and she's giving herself 3 buffs. Yeah, and if you get this when you're low on life, wow, this could be a real strong comeback move. That could be a very strong comeback move. And you get this. So if you've got protected unkillable in form 1, you survive on 1 hit point, you metamorph over into form 2, you're low on life, you remove all debuffs, buff her up with this damage stuff, then come in with a massive nuke that's boosted up. Yeah, all right. The Geral buff is massive. We'll have to test it out. I think a lot of it depends on what the damage scaling is on these new multipliers. But that being said, this new secret skill, very useful. Of course, one downside, by doing this buff, you could outrun the unkillable buff, which could be a downside. But still, I think that's incredibly strong. It's providing her the damage buffs that she wants. Like this gives her a very strong niche now as well as an anti-block damage champion. That's very, very good. Yep. 50% chance to join in on any attack. Seems like Gharol, her alternate form is going to be way stronger damage dealer, like really good. The base form got massive buffs as well. Like they buffed the crap out of her. There's no question. Yeah, it's going to depend on, I'm very curious to see how you build Gharol now. Do you now build her more for HP, which will do a lot to make her base form stronger? Yeah, I'm very intrigued. But yeah, huge buffs to Gharol. Looks great. Bambus, huge buffs as well. Like they've really been, you know, they've done a few obviously fairly cautious buffs to champions where it's like, okay, you made them good but not exceptional. Bambus, obviously, you know, he's not a void legendary, he's not a mythical, he's just a normal legendary, but he is a very, very good normal legendary now. Really excellent. Don't sleep on Bambus. Excellent champion for Faction Wars Hard. Excellent champion for any bosses. Grim Forest, everything. He is really good. Like, really, really good. Don't sleep on Bambus. Very good champion now. Really nice. And Gharol, yeah, they buffed the crap out of her. We'll see. We'll test it out. But looking really strong. So Gharol, I think, certainly is no longer the worst mythical. I think worst case scenario, she's giving you a consistent answer to Odin and Neve, which is something that's quite difficult to get. Spirit Affinity is not the best damage dealing. I mean, it's one of the more uncommon damage dealer types, to be fair, but it's not the best. But that being said, you do have like Galathir and Theodosia are the 2 strongest supports, like defensive sort of supports in the game, alongside Neve as well. And you know, she's good against all of them now, right? She's Spirit and yeah, blasting. Sick. This seems crazy, man. This 50% chance to team up seems crazy. We'll see. We'll see. There we go. Let me know what you think about these buffs. I think they both look incredible. Fantastic. It's dependent. Yeah. I don't know. I'd be shocked if they don't both end up extremely good now. So yeah, I think both champions. Good job, Plarium. Good start to 2026 is what I think. We'll test them out to see, but looks on the face of it, looks fantastic. Thanks for watching, everyone. I'll see y'all next time. Goodbye.